Good morning, USA, and welcome to another episode of the Bernie or Bust Show. Unshaved, unbathed, unedited, unscripted, fueled by coffee, and all kinds of other good nibbly stuff. Today, we're going to continue a little bit from yesterday about the idea that the cabal is deciding not only who our candidates will be. We heard yesterday that Hillary Clinton will be the Democratic nominee, as told to Tulsi Gabbard in an email, just as the Democratic primaries were starting in February right at the end of February in 2016. So we've got this cabal telling us who our candidates are going to be. They're connected to movie stars, sports people, entertainment, comedians, speakers of all sorts, but they're also politicians. And so let's jump to the fight. We've been having a fight lately. After I tell you about this quote from the article yesterday, then we'll go to the fight. CAA is one of these talent agencies, it's the biggest one actually, represents thousands of clients across the entire mass media spectrum, from A-list movie stars and news anchors, Anderson Cooper, to sports heroes and big tech CEOs. By putting so many influential and socially exalted figures under one umbrella, it provides a pathway for ideas to inorganically seep into the cultural lexicon. Inorganically, but it looks organic. Ideas that can be instantly promoted by your favorite politician and your favorite NBA player simultaneously without the typical observer knowing they got that idea from the same person. So that's that idea. Now the fight. David Dole. He generally is a calm person on his show, but he gets very agitated when he's talking about Bernie Sanders getting smeared by the Washington Post and by MSNBC and all these other people. It's getting very ugly, and you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to notice it. Especially if you're a Bernie supporter, you look at the way he's been treated, especially by MSNBC and the Washington Post, and you're like, what's going on here? So a lot of the left pundits are trying to figure out what's going on here. Here's David's take on it.
About it. It's never happened. So the questions that the media puts out there, the way they frame these arguments, is always from a corporate-friendly perspective. It's never from the perspective of the average person, and that's the observation that Bernie is making here. So, as Bernie said, it doesn't mean the media is unfair to me personally. But I actually disagree with Bernie on this. The media is unfair to him personally. So here's several examples from Crystal Ball of the Hill, where she breaks down examples of that media bias against Bernie Sanders.
We had some major undies and a twist yesterday after Bernie Sanders dared to question the corporate control and bias of some of the media. See, apparently in the age of Trump, all criticisms of the media are off limits, or at least that's what the media wants you to believe. Now, it's kind of hard to make the case that a lot of the mainstream media is fair to Senator Sanders when you just take a look at their coverage. Just this week, after a trip to the Iowa State Fair in which Bernie drew what many described as the largest crowd, the Times panned his visit, alleging that he spoke to no one and, quote, didn't even slow his pace as he grumpily ate a corn dog. There was Mimi Rocha on MSNBC saying unchallenged that Bernie wasn't pro-woman and made her skin crawl. Just yesterday, Nate Silver, he of Strictly Facts and Data, tweeted out without any facts and data that, quote, you get these hints of a sense of entitlement from Sanders. Maybe my favorite example.
Nate Silver, you get these hints of a sense of entitlement from Sanders. That is, he feels as though that by virtue of having been the runner-up last time, he's entitled to the nomination this time, and if he doesn't win it, it's only because the media took it away from him. Nate is part of this same cabal. I haven't found his name on a list yet, but he's coming at it from a place of privilege, from a place that all elitists come from. Yep, undies in a twist for sure.
Example, though, is that time Politico ran this headline: Harris, Warren tie for third place in new 2020 Dem poll, but Biden still leads. What's missing here? Well, they managed to get in the first place contender and the third and fourth place contenders, but conveniently failed to mention Sanders, sitting right there at second place at a time when the narrative was that he was losing out to Warren and Harris.
So, you see several examples there broken down by Crystal Ball. And by the way, Crystal Ball is a former host of MSNBC. She comes from that world. She understands how they frame these discussions. And understand here, it's because Bernie Sanders is the one candidate that actually challenges their concentrated wealth and their concentrated power. It's not like they just picked him out of a hat.
Right. He challenges their concentrated wealth and their concentrated power. That's why they hate Bernie. So Bernie says, well, they don't really hate me. They just don't want to talk about anything that might take away their power. And I see his point. But they hate Bernie. They definitely hate Bernie. You can just feel it. Oh, Mimi Roca. Makes my skin crawl. Whew. Here is the incomparable Tim Black describing the same problem.
Now, Bernie says, look, it's not that it's about me specifically, but they don't want to talk about any of these issues. When was the last time they talked about, hey, Bernie, why do we have so many people living under poverty? See, you don't even get to ask that question in corporate media because they don't want to know the answer, because they know that the answer is going to point to themselves. Uh-oh. Can't have that. So the whole idea is, hey, look, Bernie's not saying, hey, I'm a victim. It's not just me. It's not like, stop Bernie. Though it is stop Bernie, you know. But he's more artful than, you know, I would be. I would just be like, you guys hate me. You hate me. You know you hate me. But Bernie's like, look, you hate the issues that I care about. You don't want to discuss the issues that matter to the American people, the issues that I happen to be running on. Not on if I got hot sauce in my purse. Not on how black I am or how gay I am or does my husband like spaghetti or I'm just born to do it. I'm just born to do it. I'm just into it like Beto. I am the do-it politician that jumps on tables. Like, Bernie doesn't do any of that. He just says, hey, your money's messed up because these suckers stole it. You're dying because they give you these. Someone died recently. Newlywed died recently. Young guy died because he changed his dosage of insulin. And I know this happens a lot. Died, you know, because he couldn't afford insulin at the regular level, at the price, so he had to start to ration it, and that's not healthy, and he passed away. These things happen all the time. But see, Bernie wants to focus on issues like that really matter to you and I, because I don't know about you. I don't much care what Hillary put on her sandwiches or her chicken or whatever, or eggs. I don't much care, even though I do like hot sauce on my eggs, so that's pretty good. But, I mean, I don't care if she does, though. You get what I'm saying? And I don't care who Kamala dated. It's funny, though. But I don't care. Like, that doesn't mean anything. If I thought you were the person that was going to get the car out the ditch, I'd be with you. That's what people don't get. I'd be with anyone. You think I just woke up and said, hey, I want the 77-year-old Jewish dude. Yeah. People kill me. You mofos in my comment sections, you think I just woke up one day and said, hey, I want to ride for the 77-year-old Jewish dude. I have no choice because he has the better policies that will help the people that I care about. You understand? I had to vote policy. And then, of course, it becomes enduring that a person who champions for things that you care about, that person becomes enduring. They become enduring to you. It happens because they're fighting, they're speaking your language, they're your people. But make no mistake about it, if it was Amy Klobuchar, I'd ride for Amy Klobuchar. If it was Cory Booker, I'd ride for Cory Booker. And it would be nothing anyone could tell me if I really felt in my heart of hearts If I had a heart, and inside the heart was another little heart, inside that heart was another little heart, in my heart of hearts, if I felt that Cory Booker was the answer, I'd ride for Cory Booker. John Delaney, hell no. But you get my point, man. Don't push it.
All right. Now, on that topic, there's a CounterPunch article. Dear Progressives for Warren, your class is showing. So Tim is talking about the people whose policies will help his people, the people he cares about. And so if you look at that, how do the people that are rationing insulin, who are living paycheck to paycheck, who are the truckers I know who are trying to make a living as independent operators, and compare the checks, compared the standard of living they have now compared to what they had in the 70s and the 80s. So if you're in that part of the socioeconomic stratum, you're hurting compared to the way it used to be. Sanders is the only one who's really talking about that. The people now who are attracted to Warren are in the higher income brackets. Voters earning less than $50,000 are 22% for Sanders, 12% for Warren in recent polling data from Morning Consult, one of the best, most reputable, along with Pew and Quinnipiac, regarding Democratic primary voter support. Voters without college degrees, Sanders 22%, Warren 10%. Voters with college degrees are about even. Voters with postgraduate degrees, Sanders 12%, Warren 19%. Let's go to the article itself. Today, in summer 2019, there is no doubt about the class nature of Bernie's movement. This is a working class movement, not simply a campaign, and Sanders has risen to become unquestioningly the most powerful and resounding voice of the American working class. Attend any Sanders event and you see this in action. Working class immigrants, broke students and recent graduates, disabled and or elderly pensioners, union workers, etc. This is not simply a matter of representation. This isn't Trump getting a few brown and black faces in front of the camera to obscure the sea of fascist Neanderthals at his rallies. No, at Bernie's events, this is genuine and represents an accurate snapshot of the working class in America, which is majority non-white. Warren, too, has a dynamic campaign that hits all the right notes. Even in her events, as any video will show, even in her events, they have a more diverse crowd than many other candidates from the past and today. But it isn't working class and it isn't a movement. Let's look at the numbers. And then we already looked at the top numbers. Sanders supporters are less wealthy and less privileged on the whole. Looking specifically at income and education, two key indicators of class orientation and access to social mobility, it's clear which candidate is supported by the poor and working class. Moreover, because access to education is directly correlated to wealth and privilege, these numbers reflect a broader political tendency among those most economically marginalized, seeing Sanders, not Warren, as the voice of the poor in America. And the kids are right. Sanders dominates Warren with young people, another indication of class, though perhaps less obvious than income. And we've seen these numbers all the way through. Sanders crushes everyone else when it comes to support from young people. Increasingly, America's educated youth must be considered largely working class. And this is the part where Bernie's vision is essential for the future success of our planet, for our environment, and for the way bright, young, talented, upwardly mobile should be people, but they're saddled with so much debt they're likely to have no wealth at all despite years of working. So Sanders called to cancel student loan debt as opposed to Warren's half measure that would reduce debts. It's predictably popular among these key demographics. Young people from underprivileged backgrounds are much more likely to have less access to education and are more likely to get caught up in the prison industrial complex, social ills which Sanders' free public higher education and criminal justice reform proposals speak to. Warren may have a plan for that, but the data show that it's Sanders who they're listening to. So I keep harping on this. It makes people mad at me, but this is a class issue. This is class warfare. And if you're a liberal, if you're a suburban liberal, white or black or Hispanic or Asian, whatever, wherever you are, if you're a comfortable suburbanite and you want the door to close after you get through it, you're on the wrong side of history. We need a revolution that lets everyone succeed. And the people I'm talking to, the snarling Democrats I'm talking to, they get mad at me when I point out that this is class warfare. They get their feelings hurt. Their fifis are hurt. But let me tell you, this is ugly. If you could vote for Biden, obviously, your class is showing. And I want to make it very clear that if you prefer Elizabeth Warren and you're intending to vote for Bernie only if he wins the nomination from Elizabeth Warren, you're part of this problem. You're part of the group of people that we should be waving pitchforks at. And I know that liberals traditionally don't like to think that way. They like to think they're on the good guy team. They're wearing the white hats. I'm going to do everything in my power to show that that's not true. And if enough of us are telling you the truth, and you're still going to vote for Biden or Harris, then you're not only tone deaf, but you're just as bigoted as anybody you've ever criticized for bigotry. On that friendly and happy note, I wish you well.